Hi, I'm Mark Wybrow, and this is the Electronic Cafe, the channel for the lovers of electronic music.
And I am Andy McNabb. This is the Electronic Cafe, so let's get started.
Oh, yeah.
So welcome to the latest edition of the Electronic Cafe. Super excited about this one. Got some great music to check out in our hot stuff section. Going to be focusing on the incredible Yellow. Can't wait for that. So it should be a really cool episode that you'll all enjoy, hopefully. Just to mention as well, Mark and I launched the Electronic Cafe Facebook page just a couple of days ago. Already had over 130 members, which is awesome. It's really nice to see some friends, new people coming on board, just communicating and talking about music. It's fantastic. One band that got in touch that I did say I'd mention called ENT. So I've got a really nice message from Tony Blue, who's part of that band, who he does this band called EMTSA with Emma Walter, electronic duo from London, been around since 2014, had some singles out like Walk Away, Do It. I think their most recent single, Seedy City. Really nice synth pop band, great structures, good vocals. Rusty Egan, our friend and legend, absolutely loves them. They've played live with bands such as Republica, Tiny Magnetic Pets and Tenex, so they're keeping some good company there. Their debut album was out in 2017 called Resolute, and definitely worth checking them out. So, thanks Tony for sending me that stuff. If you guys want to check them out on their website, I think they've got some merchandise there. I'm just trying to remember the name of their website. It's www.thebandemt.com. So the Band EMT, it's all one word. Check them out. And I say thanks for the tracks, Tony. Really cool. Also, one of our faves and becoming a really good friend of the show, Phono Head, is working on some new material. So definitely looking forward to reviewing that in a future episode. So that's some of the cool stuff and news from us. So yeah, if you haven't gone to our Facebook page yet, go and have a look. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. We really appreciate it. So let's kick this show off by looking at the legendary band Yellow.
Standing at the machine every day for all my life. I used to do it and I need it. It's the only thing I want is just to rush, push, cash.
So for me, this look at Yellow has been a super fun project, as I've absolutely loved this band for probably 40 years now. So for those who don't know, Yellow is a Swiss electronic duo consisting of Dieter Meier and Boris Blank. You probably, for people who are sitting there going, I don't know Yellow, you will know their 1985 single, Oh Yeah, which appeared in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I think it also appeared in the Secret of My Success, Uncle Buck. And it's the theme song for the character Duffman and the Simpsons. Their other big single that most people might be familiar with is in 1988 was The Race, which peaked at number 7 in the UK singles chart. I say the band was formed by Boris Blank, who did all the keyboard, sampling, percussion and backing vocals. And there was a guy as well who I only realised when I started investigating and doing my research for this particular episode, a guy called Carlos Piron, who did a lot of tapes in the late 70s. But then along came Dieter Meier, who did the vocals and lyrics. Believe it or not, he's a quirky, cool, I love this, millionaire, industrialist and gambler. What a character. He was brought in when the two founders realised that they needed a singer, and the new band name Yellow was chosen based on a comment made by Mayer when apparently he created this like a yelled hello. So hello, hello, and that's how they came up with the name Yellow. So yeah, this is going to be a great look at a very influential, pioneering band.
Dieter Meier is the frontman of Yellow and is the vocalist, the lyricist, as well as the manager and the producer of the group. Boris Blank is the musical part of Yellow, and as well as being a producer of the group, he composes the songs and is responsible for the characteristic sound, having a reputation of a perfectionist. Boris Blank considers himself to be a constructor of the music, building the tracks through composition and manipulation of self-recorded samples and finishing the tracks off with the participation of invited professional musicians. Yellow's career has had 14 studio albums between 1980 and 2020, along with 10 other compilations or remix or live albums. Yellow have got a madcap, bonkers, absurdist persona that can be seen in most of their photos and videos, but this humorous, eccentric image belies a very serious couple of musicians.
So, I want to look at Yellow's sort of key highlights in their career. I'm so excited about talking about this band because they are just such a joy to listen to watch. They're very entertaining, make some amazing music, but there's always an element of fun, but incredible depth of sound as well. They're an incredible sonic experience, Yellow. Their first release was a single in '79 called IT Splash, and the LP Solid Pleasure, featuring the first track that I really heard of theirs was Bostitch. I remember hearing it in some club in Essex or East London in a very, very early 80s, like 1980. And I just thought, wow, this got me dancing. It was just brilliant. And then they brought out You've Got to Say Yes to Another Excess. The band's fourth album, Stella, went to #1 in Switzerland, and it was the first Swiss band to actually have a #1 in their own mother country. I think it was top 10 in Germany as well. And from that Stella album was the track that kind of got them global recognition of the famous Oh Yeah, because it features, as I mentioned earlier, in Ferris Brothers' Day Off and The Secret of My Success. And then in 1988, the other single was The Race, which came from an album called The Flag. That track was featured on the film Nuns on the Run. Again, another song that if you heard it, you go, oh, that's Yellow, right, okay. In 1995, there's a tribute remix album called Hands on Yellow, which was released with bands like Moby, The Orb, paying homage to these guys and sort of recognise them for the influence they had on their music. I saw copies of that on Discogs the other day, and they're going for silly money. Wow, my price bracket, sadly. And then in 2005, Yellow re-released all their early albums like Solid Pleasure, You Got to Say Yes to Another Excess, Stella, 1 Second, The Flag, and they all had rare bonus tracks as part of the Yellow Remaster series. There's a documentary, I don't know if it's on YouTube, but it's called Electro Pop Made in Switzerland, directed by Anke Schmidt. This was premiered at a big cinema in Zurich. The band have also done a couple of compositions for launches of some of Audi's cars for the Geneva Motor Show. And I think their sound, Yellow's sound, is mainly characterised by really unusual music samples, a heavy reliance on rhythm, and Dieter Meier's dark voice. They make heavy use, as I say, of sampling, and you look at tracks like The Race. But also they've had guest artists like Shirley Bassey, yes, the Shirley Bassey, on the Rhythm Divine on the 1 Second album, alongside with, God, we miss him, Billy McKenzie, the former singer of The Associates, with that amazing high voice he had. He's on a couple of tracks. And the thing is, Yellow rarely uses samples from previously released music like a lot of bands do. I think nearly every instrument has been sampled and re-engineered by Boris Blank. So over the years, apparently, or allegedly, he has built an original sample library of over 100,000, yes, 100,000 named and categorised sounds. Quite incredible. Some of the key albums for me, if you're on a budget for the first 5 years of Yellow, you can get the new mix in one go, which is the best tracks from 80 to 85. I've got this on Discogs. It's fairly cheap, actually. I think it was under 20 quid, and it's mint, so I was happy with that. The last album they brought out, was called Toy, which is great. Again, amazing production. The thing I noticed about Yellow is the sound and production is incredible. And they've got a new album out, I think, very soon, and that's called Point. So there are 13 albums in total, 14 coming out in summary, I guess I kind of just love Yellow. I know Rusty's tried to get more exposure in their early career in the UK because he felt like these people need to hear this band because they were making extraordinary sounds at the time and still do.
To expand a little, Dieter Meier studied law at university, but he dropped out without his degree. After that, he worked at a bank and as a professional gambler at the same time. He rose from poor origins to become a successful private banker, and Meier was already a millionaire before joining Yellow. Dieter Meier is also a conceptual artist, a film and music video director, a restaurant owner, a store owner, a landowner, industrialist, professional golfer, and has investments in a number of very successful companies and business ventures outside of Yellow, which have all made him a multimillionaire many times over. As a conceptual artist, he has also had many exhibitions. He famously began his career as a performance artist in the late 60s, and in 1972 the unknown Dieter Meier installed a commemorative plaque at the railway station in Germany which read, "On the 23rd of March 1994 between 3 and 4 p.m. Dieter Meier will stand on this plaque." He honoured the promise 22 years later, to the delight of his fans who had travelled all over the world to see it just in case it was true. Dieter Meier is certainly a brilliant and interesting personality whose life reads something like a movie character. I have no reason to doubt him. However, the fact is he is a conceptual artist, and it is something that should be remembered when assessing these claims about his life. Boris Blank, on the other hand, prior to his musical career worked as a truck driver and was very interested in music but had no formal training. He never learned to read music but was always interested in producing sounds and samples. Blank began experimenting as a teenager with tape loops and echo effects and, as Andy said, has amassed a vast categorised sample library which is used throughout the Yellow recordings. Boris Blank also contributes keyboards and backing vocals along with sampling and production duties. Yellow rarely use samples that have been previously used or released in music. Nearly every instrument has been sampled and re-engineered by Boris Blank. Boris Blank also composes and records solo music under the name Avant Garden, which is strictly intended for licensing to film and TV production and industry work.
I remember reading one review of one of their albums saying they're probably too far ahead for their time, and I'd say that critic was probably right. And just by chance, I did see them live. Got the poster here, and I got it framed as part of my man cave. Got to find space for that and all my other pictures yet. But that will be in addition to that when it's all done. So I was on a business trip in Germany, and I saw these posters for tours that Yellow were doing in Austria, Switzerland, Germany. I thought they'd got to be touring the rest of the world. Came home, they were only doing those 3 countries. So me and Mark and 2 of our buddies, Dom and Tom, the 4 of us went out there and had an amazing experience. The sound was amazing. I mean, the sound was literally in pure surround sound, and the tracks were brilliant. I think Yellow kind of bring a bit of Latin, mix disco and electronic. And I say 13 albums, 14th coming. And yeah, just an amazing band. Were they pioneers? 100%. And I guess in the words of Dieter Meier, does the Electronic Cafe love Yellow? Oh yeah, check them out. Seriously, you won't be disappointed.
Yellow are genuine electronic music pioneers. Along with their trademark elegant tailoring and their moustaches, Yellow bring together a collage of electronics, synth pop, funky guitar and Latin and disco beats with several melodies all going on at once. Meier is a narrator crooner rather than a conventional singer, and the band are highly influential and have been cited as such by artists such as Moby, The Orb, The Grid being Dave Ball from Soft Cell. As Andy said, we were lucky to see them live in Hamburg a few years back, and the live show was incredible. It was a spectacle, and Dieter Meier and Boris Blank were showing no signs of giving up or slowing down, even though Meier is in his 70s and Blank is in his 60s. These shows were the first time that the duo had ever performed live in their history. The band, being self-managed, pride themselves on the fact that they cut their own path and have no outside interference from record labels. They are free to do what they do whenever they want to do it, and to be fair, it hasn't served them too badly for nearly 40 years.
Oh yeah.
Standing at the machine every day for all my life. I used to do it and I needed it. The only thing I want is just to rush, push, cash.
justified. Stand under the blue. Check out the rubber man dance. Shoot the fast, cause I'm the rubber band man. Out of the can. Also wanna see why I'm back on fire. The rubber band man doing fine. It's just I know vibes. I'm in love with you. It's just I just.
Magnetic, energetic, and beautiful. Magnetic.
Parallel lines crossing my feet. Endless wishes I cry as I sing. Hope the message rings in your ear. Give it up, give it up, give it up.
I see you dance, baby, dance. Then make that chance, baby, chance.
Your eyes kill my sight. But I guess you know that. But I guess you know. You're trying to take my place. I know. It's easy to see it on your face.
I jump out of the bottle. I do the double bubble.
Oh yeah.
So, welcome to the Hot Stuff section in Electronic Cafe. This is the part of the show where Mark and I get to talk about all the great new songs and albums and artists we're listening to or we've listened to over the last few weeks that we think you should know about. And today is no exception in terms of some of the cool albums we want to recommend. As I've said before, if you're finding stuff you love, let us know on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel. Just let us know. Just drop us a note. We'll check it out. Because it's all about sharing the music. That's the main reason we set this channel up in the first place. The first album I want to look at is by a band called Braids. Now, I'll admit I didn't know much about them, and again, thanks to Rusty on his Twitch TV show, he played a track that I absolutely loved, and I thought I've got to check them out. The album is called Shadow Offering. This is it here. They're a three-piece from Canada. It's their fourth album. I didn't know this. But from what I've read on previous reviews, I think it's probably their most authentic and sophisticated to date. It's kind of weaving together a stunning narrative of lost love, agony, frustration through really emotive but incredibly transparent songs. They took 3 years out, and the trio sort of hibernated in a studio apparently in Montreal to grow closer as a band. From all accounts and purposes, they've emerged with a much more polished sound. They're under a new label, and they're being produced by Chris Waller of Death Cab for Cutie, which is brilliant. And I think by listening to this, they're able to explore their identity and sort through their emotions to create a rich, playful sounds to accompany deep introspective lyrics. I think the standout of the album is there's a single that's pre-released called Eclipse. It's a song inspired by friendship and nature. it demonstrates Standell Preston's capability as a singer, as throughout the song she slowly builds into this crescendo and belts the lyrics, showing off some amazing powerhouse vocals actually. And I think during these times of uncertainty, Braids kind of reminds people to kind of keep doing their best and be kind to themselves. I think Shadow Offering is a beautiful and heart-wrenching putting on sort of listeners' heartstrings album. It offers a kind of sanctuary, I think, for these quite unnerving times. So check this out. I found it's a really powerful album, and so beautifully made, beautifully produced, and yeah, definitely worth checking out. So that's Shadow Offering by Braids. Hope you enjoy it.
The blaring example of what I am drawn towards and should strongly move away from. Young buck with just a new chapter while I'm playing this waiting game for the one I think I'll love forever.
And the final album I want to recommend is the newly released Beyond the Pale by Jarvis, which is actually Jarvis Cocker. Yes, that former frontman from Pulp, the Britpop legend who's kind of tackling modernity, isolation, and it's a really danceable debut with his new band. But he's still got his kind of elder statesman wit and wisdom. I think this is a cracking addition to the Cocker back catalogue. It's bursting with that kind of knack of nerdy melodrama, prime for the dance floor. I think there's 7 tracks, and apparently they took shape on a work in progress tour of small clubs and gigs in unusual places, including the Devil's Arse Caves in Derbyshire, and as well they were partly written and in collaboration with an audience. I think the only problem with this album is it's over too soon. There's 7 tracks, and it's like, you know, Jarvis is almost teasing us. I think this is still arguably his best work since 1988 Pulp. Come Down record. This is hardcore, and certainly a great, promising start to a new chapter. You know, he is in a different class. He's quirky, he's stylish, loving to bits, and this album is definitely worth checking out. And again, this is called Beyond the Pale, and it's by Jarvis, which is Jarvis. Enjoy it, and let me know what you think. Again, give me feedback. I want to know if I'm hitting the right spot with these recommendations, so check it out. It's on Rough Trade Records.
I was listening to house music all night long, and all day too. I was waiting for you. I was listening to house music all.
For my hot stuff selections, I will be doing one old and one new. For my first selection is the old one. It is Love and Dancing, which is a remix album by the Human League, released in July 1982. It was basically a stopgap album released after the huge success of the band's era-defining Dare album a year before. It was issued under the name The League Unlimited Orchestra as a nod to Barry White's disco-era Love Unlimited Orchestra. The album was principally the idea and work of producer Martin Rushent. It contains dub-style, largely instrumental remixes of songs from Dare, along with a version of the track Hard Times, which was originally the B-side to the single Love Action. Martin Rushent was inspired by hip-hop turntablist Grandmaster Flash, and he created the Love and Dancing totally on the mixing desk in the studio. He created the vocal effects by literally cutting up portions of the Dare tape and manually gluing them together. In total, it took over 1,000 man-hours and 2,600 splicing edits to create this album. This was an era before samplers did all the work for you. The album, along with the Soft Cell Non-Stop Ecstatic Dancing, a remix of the Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret album, and the B-52's Party Mix album, all three are regarded amongst the earliest remix albums ever released. And these are not like the lazy remix albums you get today, where a DJ or a producer just replaces the drum and bass lines with a generic dance beat. These are proper re-envisaged mixes using the original tapes with the songs montaged into a seamless sieg, a style made famous in the New York club scenes. Typically, the record label Virgin Records opposed the idea of a remix album, not wanting to pay for it or release it, but Martin Rushent fought to create the album. Phil Oakey apparently was so unsure about the project at the time, he left it to Rushent to make all the decisions, and he released it on his own. But on reflection, the album was groundbreaking and the group now love it. We all know that Martin Rushent was a phenomenal producer, and the album still sounds great today, 40 years later, in the same way Dare does, in an organic way before the Fairlight Sampler took hold of remix albums. For Martin Rushent, it was an exhaustive and creative and extremely demanding project, so much so that afterwards he took time out from producing. But for the likes of you and me, if you haven't got it, go check it out. Crank it up, it's innovative and original and a great addition to Dare. Well worth checking out. Andy is gutted because he wanted to do this album, but he had already chosen his two and recorded his two, so I'm pleased to say my second Hot Stuff album choice is Howl by John Foxx and the Maths, released earlier this month. For those that don't know, John Foxx and the Maths are John Foxx and Benj, the same Benj from Wrangler, whose album The Situation Andy reviewed in Electronic Cafe No. 5, and his longtime collaborator Hannah Peel. This time, additionally, John Foxx enlisted the former Ultravox guitarist Robin Simon. Straight off the bat, I love John Foxx, whether it is early Ultravox, the solo albums Metamatic or The Garden, or John Foxx and the Maths, or his collaborations with Louis Gordon. I love this album. It is classic John Foxx. It is widescreen retro electronics awash with analog synths, riffs and electro beats that recalls his Metamatic period and more recently his Louis Gordon collaborations. Epic tunes layered so thick it is a lesson to some of today's precocious pop pretenders on exactly how to do it. It is a return to form and a Fox sound that he hasn't visited for a few years. It's an album full of atmospheric contrasts. I can hear Ultravox in it, I can hear Fad Gadget in it, Metamatic, Scary Monsters era David Bowie. A truly great album. I know money might be tight for many people, but Howl is a must for your collection. I can't recommend it enough. No wonder Andy is devastated. Sorry buddy, do check this album out, you won't be disappointed.
I'm tired of those lies, and it's time for a change. Before it all gets too late, because everything is happening at the same time.
So I hope you've enjoyed this show where we've looked at the amazing Yellow, what a band, some great new albums being recommended, and obviously go to our Facebook page if you want to talk to Mark and I, and just keep telling us about some new music you're listening to that you're loving. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I certainly enjoyed putting it together with my buddy, and hopefully we'll be together soon, which is what we intended to do in the first place. So stay safe, enjoy the music, and keep listening. Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks again for watching the Electronic Cafe and for your continued support. See you next time. Take care.